We have been looking at application of Python in writing simple programs. And in this set of tutorials, we are going to start looking at an application of Python programming language specifically for usage in data science and data analytics. So for us to do that, we have to have some kind of background knowledge, what data science is, and we hope that by the end of this set of videos that I'm going to post on this channel, you'll have got a good grasp of what data science is and how you can apply it in your day-to-day working place or academic research or any kind of application that might require you to do so. So these tutorials are meant for beginners to intermediate users. For advanced side of data science, we will have a look at the application of machine and deep learning in the later sections of this tutorial. But for this set of tutorials, it's meant for those people who are getting or trying to introduce themselves into this kind of the fast growing field. So it's going to be structured in three ways. The first part, we'll look at the introduction part, and this will include basic operations that will just make you comfortable enough to start getting your hands dirty with the real data. And then on the next section of this, we shall have a real data set that I will provide you with that we will work on so that you enhance those skills. And then in the third section of it, we'll dive into the advanced part of data science, and that will basically entail a machine and deep learning applications with real data. So the question therefore is, what is data science and why do we even care for? You realize that it's one of the growing fields nowadays, and well, it's not true that data science not existed. Data science has always been there ever since time immemorial, but the growing interest in this kind of industry has been driven by the availability of lots of data and changes into internet with the advent of applications like Internet of Things, 5G, satellites that are generating billions of data sets, things like social media that is giving us lots of data on a timely basis or even on a multi-second or a millisecond basis. So the growth in data, or specifically big data, has made it so much of interest to people to learn the skills. So to illustrate just what data science is, think of having a graphic that is generated from two sets of businesses. The first set of this hypothetical business is called an X bar, and this business is basically an entertainment joint, so maybe selling alcohol, I don't know. And then the second one is B2S. B2S is basically selling stationery, and you plot the data or the number of sales from these two businesses, assuming that they are owned by one individual, for the period of January to December. So if you look at that data set, you quickly realize that in the months of January, February, May, April, August, the B2S business is doing well compared to the Annex Bar business, which is contrarily doing well in December, November, and October. So you realize that by just looking at this simple bar graph, you can already tell which business is doing well at any particular month, and generally which month are the businesses performing better depending on the type, whether it's the Annex or the B2S. So this is a very good illustration of using simple graphics, and that graphic was done in Excel, by the way. So therefore it leaves us with the question again, what is data science? So if you look at whatever we have had, you realize that we can attempt to define data science, and we normally say data science is basically drawing insights from some form of data, which is strange. I'm using data to define data, but we are getting insights from data using an technology. In that case, the technology I used was basically an Excel in a Windows computer, but that has been very useful. From that technology and the data that we had, we could tell that in the months of December and November, the bar business was doing better than the stationery business. But in contrary, in January and February, the stationery business was doing better than the entertainment business, so to say. So therefore, there are so many or three key things here. The first part is we are having data, and this data in our case, maybe it can be from marketing, sales, or even from accounts department. And then we also have some insights that we are drawing from that data. And specifically, we've been able to tell that there's a time when the business is performing, and then there's a time that the business is not performing. So with this kind of insight, if you are a business person, you will know when to stock a business that is dealing with stationery, and also know when to have things like promo to boost the amount of sales when the sales are just going down. So that is, you kind of craft strategy from the insight that your data has shown you. But the question is, how do you do this? So you realize that from that data, you don't necessarily need things like Python or even machine learning or artificial intelligence, so to say. Like the data I showed you, I did it in Excel, and that's very, very fine if you're dealing with small sets of data. However, as I said previously, the growing number of data has prompted the need for very many or complex or sophisticated tools or advanced tools like Python or R, which is very, very useful for doing data analysis. And the good thing with either to Python or R is it allows you from one point, just from the point of cleaning the data, exploring the data, visualization, to implementing those solutions in terms of how you present it to shareholders or stakeholders in a business. We also has got other tools like Apache Hadoop, Apache Spark, that is very good for distributed system and storing of data. We have got enterprise solutions that allows you to visualize data in really cool way. That is the examples of Tableau and Power BI. We also have open source visualization tools like Matplotlib, which are available in Python. And if you have not watched our previous video, you want to watch those videos because I showed you how to make basic visualizations. If you are into advanced kind of data science techniques, you might be starting get your hands dirty on machine and deep learning. And there's very good frameworks that have been developed by the who and who in the technology industry. We have got the TensorFlow, developed by Google. We have got PyTorch, developed by Facebook. So this therefore leaves us with the process. How do you normally undertake a data science project? And this is very, very interesting because in our next series of lectures, we will have got the introduction part, but then again, we'll undertake a data science project, and I'll take you all the 3 steps, and you will learn that the data science approach normally takes 3 forms. So the first time you have to come up with a business question. Which problem are you solving? So that is of interest. It doesn't matter. For business people, it's always about the profit. So you must have a business question. Is your question making sense? Is it going to have a business, solve a business problem? If so, then you can start getting your hands dirty into this kind of using these algorithms or even doing this data analysis. So in our first case, like an example I gave you, the question will be, which month should you perform promotion, or which month should you stock the kind of business, or even in some cases, which areas should I locate the business? And then the next step is always to gather the data from different sources. So in our case, maybe it was from the marketing department. You can also use customer reviews to know how well your business is performing or how people are rating your business. In other cases, you might be using other external sources. And then the third step is always to explore the data. What is the most common bought product, or what is the average sales in a month? So those kind of description. In other cases, maybe you have got data that you are working on, and the data is missing, or some columns are pressed wrongly. Maybe it's a data of individuals, but you have got the age data point in a column where the name should be. So in most cases, this is the part that you always spend most of your time just cleaning and exploring the data. So this is the most intensive part of data science. And then the fourth step is normally to build models, but this is not always the case, because if you're dealing with simple data, you don't need to build models. just visualization should be enough to draw insights. Like the case we did, we didn't have to build any kind of sophisticated deep or machine learning algorithm. And then the last part, you normally draw insights or intelligence that will allow you to present solutions to people who are not necessarily tech savvy, or you present your solution to the management on where to locate the business or where to invest in terms of stocking more products, something like that. So at the end of the day, you start with a business question and then you draw an insight. The rest of the things that you do in between is basically between the data analyst, the data scientist, the data engineer, and everything else in between stitches up together to come up with an insight to the business. So what are some of the areas where data science is being applied? A good example is when you're watching this YouTube video, you realize that once you are done with this video, they'll start recommending you related content, maybe programming in JavaScript, programming in Python, programming in C. So those recommendation systems, basically they track your history or which kind of videos are you watching, and they'll be able to predict what kind of videos you might like by just looking at your past data. So YouTube recommendation systems is a good example. In healthcare, we have got smartwatches, we have got sensors that always transmit your data or collect your data, like how many calories have you burnt in a day, how many calories have you consumed in a day, and whether you are at a risk of being overweight for something like that. So that is another case-by-case use of data. In finance, we can use or we can learn from previous messages, just emails and spams, to know whether somebody is susceptible to a fraud or even if a message is fake. Or in some cases, the finance companies or even credit companies, they use your past data, your purchase data, to know whether you are worth of credit or even calculate your credit score. In crime, they use a lot of spatial data to understand the patterns or regions where more crime are likely to happen, and therefore we can direct more resources in terms of police resources or even surveillance operations in those areas. In geospatial world, we use tons of data from satellites, drones, aircraft, and other kind of terrestrial systems to monitor land change and also predict things like wildfires, droughts, and anything like that. So this is a field that has got so many applications, whether you are in the academia or whether you're in the business industry. So in the next video, I'll just show you a couple of resources that you'll need to carry on with this tutorial. So that marks the end of this video. And after the second video, we'll start getting our hands dirty by learning these techniques in Python.